Before our eyes, a new generation of leaders is transcending the ancient conflicts of tired divisions of the past and forging a future where the Middle East is defined by commerce, not chaos, where it exports technology, not terrorism, and where people of different nations, religions, and creeds are building cities together, not bombing each other out of existence. We don't want that. And it's crucial for the wider world to note this great transformation has not come from Western interventionists or flying people in beautiful planes giving you lectures on how to live and how to govern your own affairs. No, the gleaming marvels of Riyadh and Abu Dhabi were not created by the so-called nation builders, neocons, or liberal nonprofits like those who spent trillions and trillions of dollars failing to develop Kabul, Baghdad, so many other cities. Instead, the birth of a modern Middle East has been brought by the people of the region themselves, the people that are right here, the people that have lived here all their lives, developing your own sovereign countries, pursuing your own unique visions and charting your own destinies in your own way. It's really incredible what you've done. In the end, the so-called nation builders wrecked far more nations than they built, and the interventionists were intervening in complex societies that they did not even understand themselves. They told you how to do it, but they had no idea how to do it themselves. Peace, prosperity, and progress ultimately came not from a radical rejection of your heritage, but rather from embracing your national traditions and embracing that same heritage that you love so dearly. Yet I'm here today not merely to condemn the past chaos of Iran's leaders, but to offer them a new path and a much better path toward a far better and more hopeful future. As I've shown repeatedly, I am willing to end past conflicts and forge new partnerships for a better and more stable world, even if our differences may be very profound, which obviously they are in the case of Iran. I have never believed in having permanent enemies. I am different than a lot of people think. I don't like permanent enemies, but sometimes you need enemies to do the job, and you have to do it right. Enemies get you motivated. In fact, some of the closest friends of the United States of America are nations we fought wars against in generations past, and now they're our friends and our allies. I want to make a deal with Iran. If I can make a deal with Iran, I'll be very happy if we're going to make your region and the world a safer place. After years of suffering, two of the nations most ravaged by terror are finally beginning to end their long nightmares under the new generation of leaders. In Lebanon, where a friend of mine has just become the ambassador. He's going to be great. I said, you know, that could be a very dangerous job. He said, I was born there. I'm Lebanese. I love that country. I said, but it's very dangerous. You know, this is a friend of mine from New York. I said, but it's very dangerous. Are you sure you want to do it? I never thought of him as being a warrior, but he is a warrior. He loves his country. He said, if I'm injured or die, I'm dying for a country that I love. He grew up there. It's horrible what's happened in Lebanon, but you have a great ambassador, I can tell you that. In Lebanon, which has been endlessly victimized by Hezbollah and their sponsor, Iran, a new president and prime minister brought the first real chance in decades for a more productive partnership with the United States, and we're going to work with their new ambassador and everybody else, Marco, and we're going to see if we can really help them out and let them get over that very high grid that they're going to have to get over. My administration stands ready to help Lebanon create a future of economic development and peace with its neighbors. They have tremendous people in Lebanon. Doctors, lawyers, great professional people. I hear it so many times. Likewise in Syria, which has seen so much misery and death, there is a new government that will hopefully succeed in stabilizing the country and keeping peace. That's what we want to see in Syria. They've had their share of travesty, war, killing, many years. That's why my administration has already taken the first steps toward restoring normal relations between the United States and Syria for the first time in more than a decade. And I'm very pleased to announce that Secretary Marco Rubio will be meeting with the new Syrian foreign minister in Turkey later this week, and very importantly, after discussing the situation in Syria with the Crown Prince, your Crown Prince, and also with President Erdogan of Turkey, who called me the other day and asked for a very similar thing, among others, and friends of mine, people that I have a lot of respect for in the Middle East. I will be ordering the cessation of sanctions against Syria in order to give them a chance at greatness. Everywhere we can, my administration is pursuing peaceful engagement, offering a strong and steady hand of friendship to all that will take it in good faith. Together, we have made unprecedented strides and tremendous progress, and we're still just at the dawn of the bright new day that awaits for the people of the Middle East, the great, great people of the Middle East. If the responsible nations of this region seize this moment, put aside your differences and focus on the interests that unite you, then all of humanity will soon be amazed at what they will see right here in this geographic center of the world. It really is. It's like a center of the world and the spiritual heart of its greatest faiths. For the first time in 1,000 years, the world will look at this region not as a place of turmoil and strife and war and death, but as a land of opportunity and hope, just like you've done right here, a cultural and commercial crossroads of the planet. Security and stability will lift millions into lives of safety and success, and the nations of this region will be free to realize your highest destinies, honor your proud histories, harness amazing new opportunities, and bring incredible glory to Almighty God. People will come from all over the globe to be inspired by the cities you build, the businesses you create, the technologies you invent, and the beauty, talent, and potential you unleash right in the hearts of your citizens. Each of you will be able to take tremendous pride in the legacy you will leave to your children, because you will have given them the ultimate blessings of prosperity and peace. So important.
That was truly a historic and amazing speech, not just because it was delivered in Saudi Arabia, not just because it was his first trip overseas and that's where he decided to go, but because it's the end of the old and the beginning of something new, and quite frankly, the justifiable recognition of what countries in the Middle East have been able to accomplish. By the end of the old, he talks about the end of nation building, the end of interventionism, which has been going on really since the end of World War II. So it's incredibly profound for him to say that and so rightly make the decision that the nation building and the interventionism in regions we don't even comprehend, not just from a language standpoint, but as he said, from a cultural standpoint, it's long overdue. And when he talks about where the growth, this phenomenal growth in the Middle East came from, when he's talking about Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Qatar, he gives them all the credit justifiably in the world from growth from within. he acknowledges that Saudi Arabia, and I don't think many people know this, but Saudi Arabia's exports that were non petroleum based exceeded their petroleum exports. And who would have thought that was even in the realm of possibilities 10, 15, 20 years ago? Saudi Arabia is just an oil country in the desert. And the opposite has always been the case. And he gives the Saudis all the credit in the world for making that difficult transition from petroleum based to other technology based manufacturing, et cetera. So that was incredible. He talks about coming up with some sort of a peace plan with Iran, which is profound, not the least of which because, Iran is Shia and the Saudi Arabs are Sunni. And here he is in Sunni Saudi Arabia talking about a peace plan with Shia Iran. And those two countries do not get along very well. It was interesting for him to have that difficult conversation there, but it just is indicative of his maturity. And quite frankly, the maturity of that audience to understand that we have to have that conversation. And despite everything we hear about Iran will not get a nuclear weapon and the problems we've had with Iran and global terrorism, he's still willing to say, we need to make peace. We need to figure this out. And I think everybody in the world understands now that when he says stuff like that, he actually means it. That was incredible. Talking about building new relationships with Lebanon and Syria. Lebanon's been through so much. Of course, that's where Hezbollah is. But he rightly says, there was a point in time when Beirut, in my lifetime, was absolutely beautiful. Everybody wanted to be part of Beirut. It was multi-religious. You had Jews and Christians and Muslims, everybody getting along. It was an absolutely beautiful place. And then, of course, it's all been torn apart, not the least of which by negative influence from Iran and Hezbollah. Well, there's new leadership in Lebanon, and hopefully they can turn it around. And President Trump is supporting that as best he can. And then Syria, talking about the end of sanctions in Syria. And to me, this really, it tips the hat to Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Qatar, these countries in the Middle East that are coming into not just their own right economically and from a marketplace standpoint, an intellectual standpoint, but also for being the countries that are really going to try to negotiate a reorganization, not from a border standpoint, but from a transition from terrorism to peace in the Middle East. It's really, when I say it's a history-making speech, that is an incredible understatement. This is as profound, more profound, as hard as it is to believe, than when Israel and Egypt finally signed their peace agreement, which has lasted to this day. It's more profound than that. I mean, we're truly witnessing a transition of the Middle East and President Trump's desire to recognize it, give them credit for it, and of course, be a partner in that transition. Really an amazing speech. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more like this, by all means, subscribe. And if you know anybody who is interested, share it with them. This is one of those conversations I hope people have a lot, because it's truly a history-making speech. So by all means, share it with them. And let me know in the comments below what you think. Are you excited about it? Are you pessimistic about it? Will we have peace with Iran during this administration? Never thought it possible, but maybe. How do you feel about the end of sanctions in Syria? Let me know in the comments down below. As always, until next time, God bless. Love you all.